One of the issues is the lack of identification documents for young people. I think it is very important that should be addressed. We have a collapse of the education system in the Northeast because of terror organizations. And I hope, as struggle to find ways and answers of how to deal with this problem, it is important for USAID. Which I know they've done quite a lot of work in this country. To consider getting into education much more by engaging communities so that communities can run community-based. Organization education systems in the Northeast so that we are avoid getting terrorists of tomorrow. Because we have over 400,000 young children who are not going to school because everybody else is pulled from there, from the region. Maybe if I could speak for many days. But I really thank you for this opportunity and also for having time with the civil society organizations. President Obama, thank you. Before you give up the mic, let me just ask you a question. I'm glad that because of the White House summit that we had on countering violent extremism. That there was a more constructive conversation that was taking place. I think that point that you make is so important, which is reaching young people early. What I hear you saying is that one of the problems that exists in certain parts of the country now is because of fear. In some cases, and some of the existing structures not operating as well as they should. That you just have children who don't have access to educational resources and a structure. and then that makes them more vulnerable to recruitment into an organization that can give them some sense of purpose or meaning. Even if it ends up being a very negative one. Is that what I'm understanding? Mr. Olnato, yes, it's actually that is what it is. Because after the unfortunate terror attacks of Mandara, and later on the university in Garissa, those who were targeted because those are targeting were doing it deliberately to create interreligious tension in the country. So we have those people, who are non-Muslims from the region. Pulling out of the region because they feel it's no longer safe for them to remain in that region. But by pulling out, the region has been exposed because it doesn't. Haven't adequate resources to address this gap that has emanated. So to me, I think one of the things that need to consider is we need to build local organizations that can really break that gap at the community level. It's more sustainable because their communities at a lower level. President Obama, thank you. That's very useful. Somebody else I want to hear from is Fauzia Abdi Ali, who's with Women International Society. MS. Abdi Ali, thank you. I must start by congratulating you. The speech was really really good because it really advocated for issues of women, which is an area of passion. I'm not speaking as WIS today, I'm actually speaking as Sisters Without Borders. Because I chair a platform of very inspirational women who work every single day in the field of peace and security. in particular countering violent extremism. So the women come from different parts of the country, from northern Kenya, from the coastal region. And even here in Nairobi. And now I engage men's all towards ensuring we have a peaceful society. We empower women from the household level to understand prevention. To understand early warning signs of radicalization of their kids, to look at prevention towards stigma that is associated. With those mothers whose kids have actually joined violent extremism, or even their spouses. We also look at empowering them through support groups where they can have a space to engage with other like-minded people and even learn from each other. And we also ensure that this cross-border engagement between those within northern Kenya and those within the coastal region, so that they don't feel alone in this whole concept of violent extremism. What is normally important for me is, when it comes to issues of peace and security, engagement with women is still minimal, and we're still playing catch-up. When we are pushing for 2/3, even within our own parliamentary systems. We are not looking at what these 2/3 will be doing. And for us, we are pushing towards them having some concrete things that they will talk about within Parliament. And in particular is the issue of education. Because for the women in northern Kenya, their children are actually not going to school, they're not getting quality education. And as Hassan has said, this ends up becoming a society that has young people who are not well educated and are more susceptible to violent extremism. Secondly, it's the issue of the economy. In places such as the coast region, this has affected the economy. And this trickles down to the household level, and it affects the woman's old economy within that structure. So how can we have even this conversation going on? And we try and link this to the national level. We also ensure that these discussions around policy on prevention has a gender lens. Because the reasons why boys join and the reason why girls join is very different. But when we are searching for solutions in policy, we try and group them together. So sometimes, even when we are looking at issues of amnesty, we are not really opening up that space to understand if we are going to put a rehabilitation center. How do we make it different from when engaging with a boy and when engaging with a girl? So that is very critical for us. One key thing I would love to put across is you started the conversation, the White House conference in February. And it brought a lot more conversation here through the regional conference we had. And I wanted to elevate that. In terms of ensuring it's more sustainable so that it pushes away from just discussion is to push for a hub that can be placed in Africa. The hub we have is actually in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, which is useful for research and ensuring there's more conversation around how private sector gets involved. How civil society and governments can come together. But we don't have such hubs in Africa. So in most cases, when you hear about capacity building of CVE, We have to go outside Africa to get this capacity building. So why not actually start thinking about either expanding the global center to have a hub in Kenya? Or somewhere in Africa for easy access for even the grassroots initiatives and civil society to also be engaged. Thank you. President Obama, thank you. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you. And I will very much take your remarks under advisement in terms of the possibilities of setting up a hub. The idea of women being actively engaged in countering violent extremism is absolutely critical. Mothers tend to be more sensible. I'm just telling the truth. And obviously the younger we're reaching. Children, and giving them the sense that violence is not the right path, and that's being reinforced by their primary caregiver. Which typically is the mother, and the idea of peer-to-peer support, but also some peer pressure in terms of making sure that mothers are involved in steering their children in. The right way. I think that's a wonderful model. Very exciting. I just learned something there. So I've got a little bit more time. What I'd like to do now is I'm just going to call on some people. But I'm not going to be able to call on everybody, so I just want to say in advance. But I'm going to start with this young lady right there, in the sweater. And please introduce yourself. Comment, thank you, Mr. President. I am the CEO for Comac PH Girls Initiative. Comac girls came about because of a problem. I came from a family that had 45 children. Out of it, 35 who are living. Out of the 35, 20 were girls, 15 were boys. And out of the 20 girls, only 11 went to school, 4 of them up to secondary, and 1 now up to the PhD level. So my father was really for education. He really tried his best. But when he passed away in 2004, I realized as a bigger girl. Number 3, that I had work to do. Follow these girls who dropped out of school and see that. They can live a more meaningful life towards education, health, and economic development. So I gathered the 4 girls who are with me, and we started visiting them and find out how they are living. Right now, I managed with my 3 sisters to take 2 to the university. One has completed and has gotten a job. One is in 3rd form. 2 to diploma level. One of them we pushed and we opened at a city school where she was married. And the other one went to forest school. And to point, one of them where she was staying, she reached a class 8 and she has opened an inner city school. President Obama, excellent. Comment continued, our next step is to evaluate. When we evaluate, we get girls of their range so that they can see what these girls have done, and also help the girls in the particular area. President Obama, okay. Comment continued, yes. And apart from that, I've worked for 34 years, but I've not gone very far because I started building our children from the inaudible, and I started working and continue to. I have 3 children. They have not gone very far because I'm taking care of these people.